welcome to Dog on the Plot, and this week I thought we'd have a little bit of a catch up and update you on some of the things that I've introduced over the weeks but then perhaps have not come back to. And I think this is something that us YouTubers do quite a bit, is we do certain things with you and then you may never see them again until, I don't know, months later when we harvest the crop. Or if at all, and we just pretend that something never happened because it died. So I'm going to be upfront with you this week, and I'm going to show you some of the things, including, oh gosh, those poor beans that I ripped off of the paper in order to plant up. So we'll check in with the beans. Other things that I thought we might look at, obviously the greenhouse. We need to see the progress on the greenhouse, my mouse-eaten pumpkins, the garlic and the badger flame beetroot that we sowed the other day, the turnips that I put out and thought would immediately be slug food, my peas from the guttering. We had such beautiful moments when those peas slid from the guttering, absolute poetry. How are they doing now? Of course, the dahlias in bags was a big thing that we've been doing this year. So how are the dahlias doing? And I've also got an answer to a question about those. And we potted on the blueberries. Have we got blueberries? So there's so many things to update you on, as well as having a little trip this weekend to Gardeners World Live. So I'll fill you in on that as well. So it only seems right to start with the beans. So if you watch that episode, you will know that I pre-chitted my beans in paper in Tupperware tubs, which is a perfectly legitimate thing to do. This wasn't a mad thing to do. The mistake that I made, well, two mistakes really. One was that I used this kind of bamboo paper, and so it's like a sustainable alternative to kitchen roll. But the problem, it's reusable. But the problem is, to make it reusable, they actually stick plastic in there, which is a complete greenwashing. If I'd known, I never would have bought it. However, I have been trying to use it as much as possible now that I do have it. So you can wash it in the washing machine and then reuse it, you see. I know it doesn't break down because I put it in the compost heap and I'm still finding it. Anyway, my second mistake was that I left the beans on the paper far too long. So the roots penetrated into the bamboo paper and the weave is so tight that they just stuck in there. So lots of you said, why didn't you just, instead of ripping them off the paper and damaging the roots, why didn't I just plant the paper? Well, that's the reason I didn't plant the paper, because it won't break down and it would just create a problem further along the line. So yes, I ended up ripping the roots, putting the beans into pots and really thinking I am going to have to do a massive resow of all these beans. But I kept my fingers crossed, and it was a good thing I did, because check this out. We have an absolute jungle of beans in here. Now, it's not been a complete success. So where is it? I think I stuffed it at the back here. Yeah. Pongo. Sorry, Danny. This was, I mean, I've got a few apologies for Danny this week. He's never going to send me seed again. But Pongo has not done well. And in fact, yeah, you're a goner. So Pongo is out. And the Kent blue peas that Danny sent me, they did not germinate at all. Not my fault, that one. They just didn't germinate. And we'll come to the pumpkins a bit later. But anyway, all the other beans have done really, really well. So it just shows, you know, plants want to live. So what's that one? Nick, who sent me lots of seed, he'll be happy that these have done. Oh yeah, my labeling went a little bit awry, so I'm not sure if they are Cherokee Trail of Tears, but there is the Prince ones there. They're doing fine. We've got Greek Gigante in here. We've got that lovely apricot runner bean in here, which was from Nick. I mean, yeah, it's fabulous. And of course, what they really need now is to go out. But I mean, I'm sure you are sick of people talking about the weather. You're probably just sick of the weather. But oh my goodness, this week we have had torrential rain, so much rain. It's continued to be really cold. We had a massive storm. had hail. Mid-June, and we had hail. So yeah, in terms of putting things out, I've been I've been cautious. So in a little bit we'll see, we'll go down to the allotment and see how some of the stuff has fared that I put out last week. But certainly, you know, it has not been planting out weather, and if you did plant things out with the force of that rain, you know, they would just, the stems would be broken. They're just not strong enough plants to withstand, I don't think, that kind of weather at the moment. Anyway, things are looking better. So the weather forecast for the upcoming week is just sunshines across the board. We're up into the 20s, even the mid-20s this week in the daytime. We're finally over 10 degrees at night time, so the tomatoes might actually enjoy some warmth. Although, and we're doing our updates, the tomatoes are looking fantastic. I'm really pleased. They seem to be just growing by the day. You can, if you stood here, I'm sure you could see them growing. Now, the ones on the allotment don't look so good. Again, we'll check those out in a little bit. But it is so reassuring to feel that I've got these. One of every variety is in this greenhouse, is doing well, and is going to give me tomatoes this year, I am sure. So my tomatoes at this point last year, I'm not even sure if they were in the ground, and they were poor, sorry things. And I still got a really lovely harvest of tomatoes. So I'm sure that these are going to give me some great tomatoes this year. So I can't wait for that. That's so exciting. Right, what do I want to update you on next? Let's head into the veg patch. Okay, what's going on in here? Right, the turnips I wanted to show you. So if we come down here, oh my goodness, look at that poor hosta. This is where I put the turnips in. And you remember I wasn't very hopeful because this is such a slug habitat. I mean, you can see why, it's an absolute mess. But turnips are doing fine. They're withstanding. Here's a bit of sunshine. Oh dear. Ow. Oh gosh. No, that's not working. Oh, there we go. Nearly lost my cool then. I've been waiting since yesterday to film this. I keep thinking I'll go out and film when the sun comes out. And this morning I just thought, well, I'm out of time now. I'm going to have to film. Yes, elusive sun, but it's coming, it's coming. Peas was the other thing I wanted to show you. So this was the first guttering of peas that we put in, and it looked fantastic when it went in. I have updated you on this since, and you've seen how awful that it has looked. But finally, they're seeming to recover despite all the rain that we've been having this week. The slugs are leaving them alone just enough so that we can actually get some flowers. And check this out. There's oh, an absolutely beautiful purple flower on that pea, and a pea, and it's a red pea or a purple pea. Now, varieties. Oh, well, here we go. It's there. Oh, it's stuck. One sec. Early onward. No, that's not right. Early onward is not a purple pea. Okay, that's a bit odd. So now I don't know, is this a PP? Is this a Monge 2? Is this a sugar snap? I guess we'll wait and see, won't we, Dory? Yes, Dory has learnt that not only does she like peas, she knew she liked peas, but she's learnt that she can actually reach in and grab them. No, no. We then had our second gutter of peas, the second succession that I had planted in the gutter, and I put those into a tub. And I mean, they looked fantastic when they came out. It was another beautiful, beautiful moment of them coming so wonderfully out of the guttering. And then the slugs ate them. So you remember I put, was it the old buddleia? Yeah, old buddleia sticks in as my pea sticks. They've been fine. I guess they're kind of clinging to those, although I put string around them too. Now these ones at the end, which are onward, let's see if they give a purple pea. They're doing okay. They're recovering now. The ones in the middle, not so much. What variety were those? Azetus. But I thought the Azetus ones were doing really well, actually. Oh, okay, Dory. It's a bit excessive. But they're doing a little bit better now, and they're starting to flower. But bloody hell, just being attacked by everything today. I mean, this is all my fault. The garden is hugely overgrown. That's for another video. These peas. So these are sugar snap. I think the variety is Sprint. But look at the flower. Just the most gorgeous, pure white flower. Beautiful. And I supported these rather than using pea sticks, using an old, I don't know, what is it? It's an under counter wire mesh drawer thing, upcycling. And I just put it over the small plants and then they grow up through the holes. But it supported them wonderfully, really well. Didn't expect that. I mean, not these that went down the edge, but the rest of them, absolutely fine. And we've got peas coming, or sugar snaps, so that just needs to fatten up a little bit. Nasturtiums have gone wild, shouldn't be in this bed. These are self-seeded. I did think while they were little seedlings, I'll move those, and now this has happened. Speaking of which though, check out round the carrot bed. This has self-seeded nasturtiums all the way around, because there was an absolutely huge nasturtium growing in the middle of this last year and it shaded out all the carrots. But yeah, I'm happy with that. They can stay there. The one that can't stay is that one that is in the middle of the carrot bed. Speaking of the carrot bed, this is the one, if you remember, that I scatter sowed the carrot seed onto, and they all came up and they were great. Then I think they either got eaten by slugs or dried out, almost completely gone. Resowed. I think I've resowed a couple of times, just, added more seed to this bed. But we finally do seem to have seedlings in there, and I think we are going to eventually get some carrots. The sweet peas are coming. Oh, love it when the sweet peas start. Anyway, getting distracted. Carrots. So yeah, there's some in there, some little seedlings coming up there. But oh, there we go. There's the sun again, and it's gone. Oh, it's a tease this morning. Absolute tease. Anything else to show you back here? I mean, I could just go on and on, couldn't I? Yeah, I know. Remember our compost trial? So we did the peas with all the different kinds of compost. We completed that trial, and the winner was the winner. I think the winner was the one that I got delivered to the allotment site, my big mountain of compost, wasn't it? And I've actually, I kept saying I've run out of compost. I've now filled up some bags at the allotment and brought them home, so I've got compost at home. Anyway, that's not the trial I was talking about. The original trial that we did with the onion seed, and we did ishiguro spring onion as well as regular onion. Now the ishiguro spring onions went into the home garden patch, and there they are, growing really rather well. So this is the plant grow. Look at me, still got them labelled. So there you go. There's the plant grow. And then, oh Dory, you're in the way. Very much in the way. There we go. Come here. And there is the silver grow. There we go. So let's do a side-by-side comparison at this point. Dory, you can be judge. Now, the plant grow had the edge throughout, but at this point, the silver grow looks better, doesn't it? I mean, it's gone into regular compost now, so I don't know how much of this is really a trial anymore. And the plant grow is at the edge, which I think gives it a disadvantage in terms of moisture. But yeah, my sort of general observation was that really the plant grow did better at the beginning, but later the silver grow seemed to take over. So perhaps the nutrients are more slow releasing in the silver grow, so it gives them a boost then as they're growing. I don't know. I'm not an expert in compost, but they both worked. They both worked in the end. Oh, got distracted as I walked by here, not just because the sun has come out, but we have berries coming. And in fact, there are so many berries on this, and they are starting to be ready to be picked. Now, I think that is the tayberry. The loganberry is down here underneath. This on this side is the summer fruiting raspberry. And if I pan round, that at the very end is the boysenberry, which isn't ready yet. But we are going to have so much fruit this year, I'm sure. I think it is going to be a berry year. I keep saying this to people. It's going to be a berry year. It's a really good berry year. Right, what next? Well, I didn't even have this on the list, which was an oversight, because of course the ochre, or the ochre, ochre, I use both. Look how that is grown. Brilliant, hey? There's a lovely big plant there. Love the leaf on the ochre. It's so beautiful. This one, not done so well. Perhaps has had a little slug friend visit, but the rest of them, fantastic. Really, really happy with that. And even, if you remember, we had that tiny, tiny one, and I put it next to the two that had overwintered. Even that one has come up. Hey, well done. You were super, super tiny. They were tinier probably than that little ball thing. There are the two that overwintered. Much, much bigger. But yeah, happy to have a nice little row of those. Oh gosh, look at that garlic. We're going to be pulling that soon, but not this week. Right, back in the greenhouse. Okay, the garlic. So this is for the grow along with Robin. And yeah, we have germination. So now, what did I put? 3 in each cell, didn't I? So we've got 1, 2 in there, 1 in there, 2 in there, 2 in there, 1 in there. Actually 2 maybe, that could be grass. But yeah, growing well. So that's pleasing. And I mean, I think I'm a little bit more excited about the Badger Flame beetroot than I am the Garleek. But look at those beautiful little seedlings. And I multi-sowed these, and so there are 3 in there. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, not bad at all. And that's all we had. That was all the Badger Flame beetroot seed. So I'm really pleased that they have come up. All the badgers, all the aubergines and sweet peppers that we potted on last week are doing wonderfully. They're all fine. I did get the chilies down to pot on, but actually they were fine for the size they are in the pots that they're still in. So I just gave them a good water and feed and put a mulch on top, so they're doing fine. And I did put on the 5 remaining cucumbers, the ones that have lived, so they've been potted on, but they might have to go up a size again. But that was good to get done. I feel like I'm much more on top of things in the greenhouse. I potted on some kales and stuff, and I pricked out some flowers, and I think the only thing really is this tray that I want to sort out, because this has got some, those are Brussels sprouts. I think there's a Nigella, Rebecca. It's got a right random selection of stuff in there. So that tray needs sorting out. But in terms of, I think everything else in here, nothing really needs to be potted on. It just needs to get out. And I guess that leads us to the pumpkins. No, scrap that. We're going to come to the pumpkins in a minute, because one of the things that I wanted to update you on was the dahlias. So this year I did my dahlias in sandwich bags. It was a raging success. They grew lovely. I took cuttings from them. You could see the roots in the bag. It was, yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing that again next year. Eventually, of course, they got too big for the bags, but it was too early to put out. So they did get potted on into pots at that point. But by that point, I had space freed up from other things where I could then store them in the lean-to that's attached to my house. It's a nice sort of warm light area, doesn't get much direct sunlight, and they've been entirely happy in there and doing really well. And even the ones that were cuttings, and I had no success with the cuttings that I did the previous year, but the ones that I've done this year are doing fantastic. Now there is the question of, where are these dahlias going? Where are they going where they're not going to be immediately eaten by slugs? Because even those ones that are really good size, last year I put them out at that size and they still got completely eaten. I don't know. I do not know the answer to this question. So until it occurs to me, they're staying in the lean-to where they're nice and safe, and I'm keeping them watered and just caring for them and looking after them. I really want dahlias this year. I'm toying with the idea of having just a dedicated dahlia bed that I can keep an eye on and massively protect, rather than putting them into the borders where the slugs just come out and find them. But there was a question about doing the dahlias in bags, and it actually wasn't about dahlias, it was about begonias. And the question came from the collab I did with Eli about doing dahlias in bags, and quite a few people asked, could you do begonias in the same way? And I said, I'll try and let you know. And of course I did try and didn't let anybody know, so I'm doing it now. Here are begonias in sandwich bags. So the answer is yes. You can absolutely grow begonia tubers. Are they a tuber, begonias? Yes, I guess they're a tuber. You can absolutely grow them in sandwich bags. So these are 3 bulbs that I got late in the season, you know, later than you would probably plant a begonia, because they were on offer. And, you know, really, they should have been potted on from the bags now. But it's the same thing with the dahlias. You can see the roots, so it's really reassuring before they pop up that you know there is growth, they are alive. And I mean, that one has grown just fantastically. Now, this has posed, you know, it's just come to me, another question. Can you take a cutting from, like I did with the dahlias, could you take cuttings from the begonias? I don't have the answer to that question. If I Google it and find it, I'll put it on the screen. But that one did fantastically. This one, pretty good, not bad at all. What are the varieties? Nobody knows. Oh no, nobody does know, because as I said, I've got them on the cheap. So they were just in a big bucket, and I picked what looked like 3 healthy tubers. That one, it's there, but it's tiny. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Now what I can see in there is a little fungus gnat. That's not good. Well, that might be the problem. That might be why that one is so small, because the roots are being eaten by the fungus gnat larvae. Oh well, right, well that means that one needs potting on, and that soil can go into the compost heap. Okay, but there you go. If you had that question, it's answered. You can do begonias in sandwich bags. Speaking of experiments, I'm pretty sure I showed you this sunflower that Liam's dad gave me. It's the Jammy Dodger one. It has multiple heads, really fun coloured flowers. It got eaten by slugs. Not only did it get eaten by slugs, but the, or snails, the fat things on top actually broke the stem. Now, I had heard that you could tape up the stem and it would heal and you would still have a sunflower. So I did it. I just used some paper tape. I put a stick in to support it. I put some tape around it, and yeah, there is, you know, fresh growth at the top. I put it away from the slugs now, so it hasn't continued to be eaten by slugs, but I think we might actually get a sunflower from that. Let's take the tape off and see. Here we go. Oh wow, that is incredible. There we go, a self-healing sunflower. Oh, it looked incredible from one side, but it's totally hollow just there. Oh dear. Well, I don't know, it doesn't seem to, there's still growth. That's so funny. Well, I don't know, it seems to be still growing, so maybe I'll leave the tape on for a little bit longer. There we go. I'll just close you back up and hope for the best. I'm glad that's doing okay, because my own sunflowers have been a bit pathetic, but I did notice on my Charles Dowding calendar that you can still sow sunflowers. Like it's the less point, I think, but maybe I can direct sow a few and just see what happens. Now the last thing I want to show you in the garden then is the blueberries. So the blueberries were in the big planter that I then made into a hotbed, and the hotbed was utilised for the early potatoes. The tubs of early potatoes were on top of it and benefited from the bottom warmth, and I think they did benefit because the foliage is looking great and they're really soon going to be ready to harvest. But the blueberries came out of that tub and went into their own individual tubs because they got too big to have 5 living in that one tub. So they all got their own and they're doing fantastic. They seem really happy. There are lots of fruits, more fruits than I think I've ever had before. So not all of them are fruiting, but most of them are. And actually I think I'm going to move them from the back of the garden and put them into the veg patch where they can get a little bit more sunshine to help with the ripening. Actually, I might do that right now, and while I do that, I shall send you back to Sunday when my cousin, the enabler, my mum and my aunt and I all went to Gardeners World Live. It was our second time going to Gardeners World Live. We were super excited to go, as you'll see, and we had the most fantastic time. So here's some little snippets of our trip to Gardeners World Live. So clearly we had a fantastic time at Gardeners World Live. I really like one of the things that I like about Gardeners World Live in comparison to somewhere like Malvern is that it's manageable within one day. And actually Sarah from Sundays in the Garden, it was her first time going, and she'd asked me if I had any tips, and I was like, oh, you don't need to rush, it's all manageable, you can fit it all in one day. We did not fit it all in one day. That was complete rubbish. Maybe that's what happened last year for us, but this year there were so many things that I didn't get to see, and I'm kind of annoyed by, I didn't get to the houseplant bit inside, and there were some of the show gardens that when I was looking through the book when I got back, I'm like, I don't remember that garden. I didn't see that garden. And also the veg there, and I think some other people have mentioned that it's not a very veggie focused event, it is mostly flowers, but there were some veggies there and I didn't see them. I didn't get to that stall, and I bumped into Nanu and Grinch from plot 9 there, and she had bought some tomato seed from the veg bit, and I was looking for it, I was actively looking for it because I'm like, I want those tomato seeds, but no, I didn't find it. So some of the highlights for me were the plot amongst the chickens, which is Ben's garden. He's plot 27B Bristol on Instagram. His garden was fantastic. His chickens were just incredibly cute, and he spent so much time talking to me and my cousin, and he had a rose there, and it's from the Rose Press garden, and it was called a mocha rose, and oh my god, I want that rose. I want that rose. The other garden that I really liked was, I have to remind myself of the names. It was the Fee Fi Fo Forage Garden by Gemma Wiley and Rona Glynn, and everything in that garden was edible in some shape or form, and it was so beautiful, and you wouldn't know it looking at it. You wouldn't know that everything in there was edible. They weren't obvious edibles, and yeah, I fell for that completely. Loved that garden. And the other one that I really loved was the one called Our Safe Haven, which was by Sarah Sanderson, and she again spent loads of time talking with us, and it was from her garden that I made my first purchase. More to come, but this was the first one, and it is an electric blue penstemon. And just look at the colour. Oh, the sun goes in, doesn't it? Just as I'm showing you. Oh, come on, sun. It's luminescent. Is that the right word? And just absolutely beautiful. And this was at the front of her border, and everything for sale. Everything on her border was for sale at the end of the show, which is the advantage, of course, of going on a Sunday. And I put my name down for this one. So at the end of the show at 4 o'clock, I went back, and they dug it up for me. It's in a little pot, and now it will be in my garden. And it's really lovely to have like a piece of somebody's garden from the show then in your own garden. And it was a bargain, because everything was like a £5 that was being sold off from the borders, and inside the floral marquee it was going for a tenner, and a smaller plant than that. So it is well worth, you know, keeping your eye on the borders and seeing if the designers are going to be selling off the plants at the end. Oh, I love it. The colour, it's just so beautiful. But of course I didn't stop there. Now my other purchase, oh, in fact I haven't got that here, it's up here. Okay, so you might remember I bought this one from Malvern. This is the sundew carnivorous plant. This is the Albert one. I need to put it next to my begonia, don't I? And I bought that one at the beginning of the show, and showed it to Jane from Jane's Growing Garden, and then she went back and bought one at the end, but she got a red one. And then I wanted a red one. So that was what this was expressly on my list at Gardeners World Live, and I found this one. It's actually £1 cheaper than at Malvern. And this one is about to flower, apparently, he told me. So that'll be exciting when that comes out. These are living in the greenhouse at the minute, now next to that begonia, but they will come into the house in the autumn. And yeah, the autumn, when you put the central heating on, tends to be a pinch point for fungus gnats. So these are going to be a part of my defense against fungus gnats. And then the last plant that I paid full price for is this geranium. Now, my nephew, I was trying to convince him that I had every flavour of mint that he could think of. And he did say pineapple. I'm like, yes. But then he said Coca-Cola. And of course, I don't have a Coca-Cola mint. But you can buy a Coca-Cola geranium. So this is a scented geranium, and the scent is Coke. And it does. It really, really does. I'm wondering about using the leaves to flavour my water kefir or kombucha, and seeing if that makes it taste like Coca-Cola. We shall see. It's called Cola Bottles. And I'm trying to build up my scented geranium collection. I've got orange fizz. I've got a couple of orange fizzes because I did cutting. And I've got another one, which I'll put on the screen because I can't remember. But yeah, really happy with that. And then, of course, it was the sell-off. So I've been to a few shows now, and I kind of know how this goes. I'm learning. So yeah, Middleton Nurseries were selling their plants for £4 throughout the day, which is still, you know, good. And then at 4 o'clock they went to £6 and I was like, well, you know, I know that Middleton Nursery, they do £1 at the very end of the show. So I started putting a few things together that I thought I might want, but it didn't happen. And my cousin was trying to find a sea holly and we got distracted, and so I kind of left the plants. I'd grouped them together on a tray, but just kind of left them back out on the stand. And we went off to find a sea holly, and then I heard, or I saw people just sort of congregate on that stall, and I was like, Becky, come on, let's go. And luckily all the ones that I kind of put together and left were still there, so I just had to sort of grab them and take them to the till. And so these were my pound plants, my sell-off plants. I got a Geum Salmon Delight anemones, which I cannot grow, although actually I think my ones are still alive. They're still yet to flower. This one is called Royal Blush. I got another penstemon actually. This one is called Burgundy. Okay, but I like the dark foliage. I bought hare's tails, if you remember, at Malvern. This time I bought a bunny tail. I did sow a lot of bunny tail, but they haven't come up, and I just love them, and they're so soft. But I also got a squirrel tail. So that's quite exciting. What else did I get? Now, I got an Achillea. You might remember, as well as the bunny tails, I sowed a lot of Achillea. Now, did I get ballerina? But they were all kind of this pearl ballerina, but they're all these kind of double, it's like small Achillea or yarrow. And I think, did I pop them on the other day? Hang on. Yeah, I have an entire tray of tiny seedlings of what will become that, I hope. But they're tiny and I'm impatient, and so I bought one, and these might die. So I've got one. So that one's called New Vintage White. But I think, yeah, that one's either ballerina or pearl or something like that. Again, I'll put it on the screen. And lastly, what did I buy? Oh, a Gaura. So I've got a white one that's growing well in the garden, and this is a pinky one called Gambit Rose Bicolor. Okay. But I mean, for a quid, you can't not. Talking of dark leaf foliage, I also have one more plant that I came back with. Actually, I have a lot more plants that I came back with. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, one of the wonderful things about going to these events, just as it was in Malvern, is meeting people that I've met through the channel. And Claire from the Farmyard Garden, we had arranged to meet, and Jo, her sister, who's on Instagram as Lottie Plotty, we had agreed to meet up, and Nick from That British Homestead as well. And so we found each other, and just randomly there were Nanu and Grinch, so that was beautiful that we got to see them as well. And God, they're lovely people. They are such lovely people. So I'm really pleased to see them again. And then we eventually found Jane from Jane's Growing Garden. And you know, Danny jokes about Jane having no sense of direction and always being late. It's true. It's actually true. And so we eventually got Jane from up on the hill as she's sort of looking around for us. We got her down, and we all had a little picture together. And I think Nanu and I are actually sisters. But it was lovely to see everyone, and then over the day kind of continually bumping into people as well. Anyway, all that to say, Claire very kindly, because at Malvern I had said I wanted a dark leaf geranium, and during the sell-off she kind of shouted me across the plant village, and she had bought me this dark leaf geranium. It's called Storm Cloud. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. So that's got to go in the ground. I think I'm going to put it over here. Let me just turn you. So you see I've got the dark Acer there, and this is kind of shady but a little bit moist, and I think that would complement the purples that are going on all over anyway, but also this dark foliage. I think that will bring that all together. Look at me, I do one trip to Gardeners World Live and I'm like talking like a garden designer now. So thank you to Claire for that geranium. That was really kind of her, but that's not the only thing that she brought for me. We had a plan. If you watch Claire's channel, you'll know that she's been mentioning a surplus of pumpkins that she was planning on bringing for me. It turned out to be quite a surplus, quite a number of pumpkins. I drive a Volkswagen Up, and I was designated driver for this particular trip. My cousin's going to do Malvern, and there is not much room when you've got 4 people in a Volkswagen Up. And yeah, those were the plants that I bought. Obviously they also bought plants, and not only plants, like plant supports and little basket things and stuff. We had our wheelie along trolleys, and then we had a mass of pumpkins that Claire put into 2 drawers, which then sat on my mum and my cousin's lap during the journey home. So it was yeah, rather amusing that we drove home from Birmingham basically in a car that was just filled with plants and people. Anyway, this is what she brought me. Here they are. So it's these big ones at the front. So there's all of those in that tray, and then all of those in that tray as well. So why did Claire bring me an absolute load of pumpkins? Well, she keeps saying it's because she oversowed and she needed to get rid of them, which is very kind of her. But also it's because most of my pumpkins got eaten by mice. So before they could even germinate, the seeds got eaten by mice. I was very upset about it. But some of them I could salvage and some I resowed. But now I'm in a position where I have quite a lot of pumpkins. So I have all these ones from Claire, some of which are Crown Prince. I think there's actually a patty pan in here as well. And one of these trays is all courgettes and patty pans. But the rest are pumpkins. And I haven't been through these and counted or seen what varieties I've got. But yeah, suffice it to say, I do have enough pumpkins now. So it's thank you to Claire. Also thank you to Danny, who gave me some zombie and the baby boo that I've already put on the plot. Now, Mum wants an Achikikuri for her garden, so one of them is going to go to her. I think one of Claire's Crown Prince is going to go to my cousin as well. So that's a couple that are destined for elsewhere, but the rest are going to go onto the plot. So I'm not going to do that right now, although I can do it. Well, I need to do it. Look at the size of this. It's actually got, oh my goodness, it's even got a little pumpkin growing on it. So yeah, these need to go out quickly, and some of them are looking a little bit, of my own ones are looking a little bit stressed. So they do need to go out. And now is a great time to put them out because we seem to be getting this better weather from today onwards. So that is definitely on the list to do. But for now, I've got to walk the dog, so I think we'll go via the plot and do our check-in at the plot. And then there's one last thing that I want to show you here before we finish up for the week. Been a while since we've been in the community orchard. It's been a while since I could get in because the grass has been so tall, but they've been round and mowed it, and it's lovely to see how many apples there are going to be. Yeah, absolutely loads, and blackberries as well. So much blossom on the blackberry bushes. Like I said, good year for berries. That's my prediction. Now this is interesting. Now you can see that these apples also have the pests that I have on the allotment, but I did look it up and it's not the codling moth. It's not the one that you have to be really worried about. It's a different kind of moth, and the apples should be okay. It should be fine. So fingers crossed we will still have apples this year, and if we don't have them on the allotment, we're going to have plenty in the community orchard, that's for sure. Now just outside the orchard is a very special little treat. Just here, yep. Ah. You can perhaps just see them. Look at these little jewels. There we go. Growing wild on the park. And I call these wild raspberries, but this was all part of the allotments a long time ago. So they're probably left over from that, like all the comfrey that grows in here and the blackberries. But there we go. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now usually the council a little bit roguish in their mowing, and they have completely mowed this patch. And because these are summer fruiting raspberries, they grow on the previous year's growth. So if you mow it, then you're not going to get raspberries the next year. But they haven't done it this year, and so we have raspberries, which is lovely. And that seems to be the case all around the parks here, that there was a lot less mowing going on. I don't know whether that's just budget cuts or there is a real initiative to help with the wildlife and yeah, letting spaces just be a little bit more wild for pollinators and wildlife and such. It's great. I love it. I love it. Well, we've made it to the plot. There was a little bit of a detour between the dog walk and getting here. In fact, it was most of the day. So I had a quick call to go pick something up. So I had to do that. And then I've been working today, and then the church just rang and told me that the grass clippings were ready. So it worked out well in the end anyway, because it saved me 2 trips. So I've brought the grass clippings down, and we're now here at the plot to do our update. And of course, the thing that I'm sure you want the update on is the greenhouse. And I'm really pleased to say that there is glass in it. Okay, maybe I slightly oversold it, but there are now 6 panes of glass in the greenhouse. So Mark and I were down here the other day, and it's not just about putting the glass into the greenhouse. We needed to create some kind of base for it. So we did a bit more leveling of the ground, and then we went in search of either bricks or slabs or wood or something for the base. And I had been looking out for stuff. I'd been looking out on Facebook Marketplace, and I'd put a message out on the allotment group, but to no avail. And in the end, what we decided to do was really just dig in the sides of the, or the base of the greenhouse. So yeah, so we kind of dug a little bit of a trench and placed it in, leveled it out, and then backfilled. So it's fairly secure in the ground. And once all the glass is in, it'll be heavy enough not to blow away. So yeah, a little bit of a kind of bodge job, but I mean, that's what allotments are about. For me anyway. I mean, I'm like that in all aspects of my life. But so we managed to get 6 of the full panes of glass in, then ran out of clips. I've now bought more clips, so we are prepared this weekend to perhaps I would love to say fully glaze the greenhouse, but I think actually we're probably going to run out of glass. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but getting closer with the greenhouse. Now, in respect of catching up on the rest of the plot, we looked at the plot last week, so we won't do too much here. I've just harvested a few strawberries, which is lovely. Always nice to be able to do that. Rest of the allotment, fairly demoralizing, really. I'm sure lots of you are experiencing this at the moment, but yeah, the slugs have been out, been eating the cabbages, and let's just have a quick look at the squash. So here's the bed that I was planting up last week. Sweet corn is fine, that's all okay, but this baby boo squash, not looking great. The butterbush from Claire, no, from Joe, that one It's looking okay. That one has still got its centre, so promising. But the other baby boo, I'm sorry, Danny, no, I don't think there's any coming back for that one. So clearly not brilliant. Almost feels inevitable, like the weather that we've been having and the amount of slugs that are about. But it's what's making me really cautious about putting the rest of those pumpkins out. But as I say, weather is due to turn. I'm also going to bring the strimmer down at the weekend and just tidy everything up so there's less places for the slugs to hide. Anyway, we shall see. We shall see. We can just put things out and hope for the best. And if nothing else, at least we have some strawberries. There we go. I'll take those home and ripen them on the windowsill. Right, before the rain gets here, let's head home, and I've got one more thing to share with you. So as the sun goes down on today, the very last thing that I wanted to update you with is the elderflower kombucha and how that's going. So we did this together. It's now been, I think it's probably been a week and a half, and I did test it at 1 week and it was still too sweet for me. So we're going to have a little taste test and see if it's ready to bottle yet. Oops, careful, Dory. There we go. It's looking a little bit fizzy. Oh, smells incredible. Oh, yes. Oh, it's getting the kick now. Mm. Oh, is that right? Do I want to do it a bit longer? That's another test. Oh, I think it's right. I think that's right. Okay, well, that's my job. That's my last job for the day. Bottle up the elderflower kombucha. So I hope you've enjoyed that little update on things. If I forgot anything, if there's anything you're thinking, well, what about that, Kerry? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.